Alrighty. How is everyone doing? I'm expecting today's just going to be a nice kind of small, relaxed stream. Because, let's face it, we're getting towards the end of Komorebi. And if you're still here after having gone through like all the stories so far, I'm pretty sure you're going to be as curious as I am to see how all of this ends. I actually had a quick look and I'm surprised by how many hours I've put into it so far. We are 21 hours into Komorebi. But I think this is either going to be the last or second last stream that we have for this game, because there's not too much left to go before we've got everything wrapped up. So I hope you're all doing well. Here's Snitch and not Tony. Good to see you again. Gray stopped by just to drop off a comment before they headed off. Thank you for being here, Gray. Appreciate it. Sander, welcome. Hey, furries. We're not all furry here, but are we? I don't know. We're still here. We've played the game this far. Are we just like now furry by proxy because we've been, we've persevered this much? Is this like, what's the name for it? It's like, is this the criteria for becoming a furry? Is that you have to play through at least one furry-based game, and then they'll just send you a certification of furriness in the mail? I don't know. I don't know how you're getting inducted into furry society. There's got to be some kind of standardization test to pass, right? That's how this works? I don't know. Either way, glad to see all of you here. Like I said, I think it's going to be just a small, cozy little stream. Probably not too many of us hanging out today for this one, but that's all good. At the end of the day, I'm just really curious to see how this game ends. So, for those that maybe haven't caught up on the VOD from last time or weren't here for it, or maybe haven't seen anything so far, we are towards the end of this game. We're on like the final stretch, I believe, now. Last time was the New Year's Eve party, where we got to spend a little bit of one-on time with each of the main characters in our crew. We ended up sharing our first kiss with Isaac, which was lovely, touching, very sweet moment, which was then promptly ruined by a news broadcast that revealed that I think it was 2 of the protesters in the square that were going through the hunger strike were killed. So the world is about to be turned upside down, or at least we kind of thought it might be, because like the very next day they went off to a convention. So yeah, there's that, I guess. We also had the revelation that Isaac was not as innocent as he appeared to be, as he was actually working with the community of Zeros to get them access to technology and basically doing a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that only someone with his insider knowledge of the Argus Corporation could pull off. We're also 99% convinced that Delta, our character, has something very odd going on in their head, because we've been seeing things that are impossible, things that shouldn't be there, and we've also realized that quite possibly everything that we're doing in the game, interacting with the menus to select memory fragments to watch and review, is actually Argus Corporation tech, and we're not actually Delta. We're just seeing things through Delta's eyes. We're reviewing the footage, reviewing the moments. For what purpose? Don't know. Are we reviewing things to come to a verdict, to decide if Delta and his friends are innocent, or if they're guilty, or just for historical purposes? Don't know yet, but I'm sure all is going to be revealed soon. So there we go. There's our recap of events so far. So now I'm very, very curious to see what we can get to after this. The other thing that I will mention is we do have deltas. What's happened to Bravo, Alpha, Foxtrot? Exactly. They could have given all of them names that way, to be honest, but I think assigning Alpha to one of the characters, probably a tough call to make, because I'm not sure that any of them are really Alpha characters. They probably all think they are, but I don't think any of them actually are, if you know what I mean. Yeah, very curious to see where this goes from here. I haven't got that much to share in terms of other information that's going on at the moment. Yeah, jumps in the stream, end of recap. Nice timing. Bartosek, welcome. Thanks again for hanging out with the stream for One to Blame earlier this week. It was great to have you there. This one will be a little bit tougher to get into because this is like part 6 of a visual novel stream that we'll be doing. But you've come at a good time because the plot's been escalating. To give you a very quick summary, it's a fairy game. It's set in like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like a cyberpunk future, but it's definitely like set in a future where tech has become a major part of society and has basically implemented a social credit system. There's a section of society that sits outside of the cities and is not part of this, and they're called zeros. And then there's us and our friends who are inside the city walls and are part of this society. There's a lot of revolution going on at the moment, shall we say, and a little bit of an uprising with people protesting the entire system, thinking it's stupid. And then layered on top of that, you have Komorebi itself, which is basically this concept where people, when they reach a certain age, begin having visions of their future. The visions that they, what you see in the future is not set in stone. It can be changed, but it lets you see a potential future. And it raises a lot of questions because one of our friends, for example, is a musician, but they're only as successful as they are because they had visions of themselves being successful and then copied the songs that they saw in their visions to actually do them in real life and therefore become successful in almost this weird self-fulfilling prophecy. So the Komorebi is a really interesting concept and layered into this society where they've got like this overbearing tech corporation raises some very interesting questions as to how the hell it's all come about. So on that note, I think we should dive into the game. Alright, let me make sure I get our volume back up on here. And from memory, I do need to bump this up because there is voice acting. We need to make sure that everyone is able to hear it nice and clearly. I didn't know Canada was this wild. Would this be Canada? Yeah, I mean, not quite, I don't think. Oh, yeah, text box is in a good spot there. I'm happy with that. All right. So yeah, this stream, just so you know, Bartozek is going to be more chill than what we had with 1-2 playing. But don't worry, more stuff like that will be coming back in the future. This should be, as I was saying, probably either the second last or potentially last stream that we do of Komorebi, and then as always we'll be moving on to a brand new game after that because we're always looking at community suggestions, and this was one of them. This is Canada. Well, actually, funny you mentioned that. This game is set in Toronto. That is actually a thing. It is set in Toronto. A future version of Toronto where everyone is a furry apparently, but it is set in Toronto. It plays no relevance into the actual story or plot as far as I can tell. It's just there and it is set dressing. Alright, let me show I've got my chat up here so I can keep an eye on things. Right, okay. So this is where we got to last time. So basically we've been seeing a couple of these screens. It's been broken down basically into 4 acts. And we are now in the final act, which I believe is kicking off with a convention of some kind. We also have a D&D game that is probably going to get wrapped up here somewhere, but my aim for this stream is to at least get through these 6 scenes at the top. There is probably going to be one final culmination scene at the end that wraps up the story. I don't know if we're going to have time for that today because I do need to keep this stream to between the 2 and 3 hour mark, because I've got a couple of things that I do need to get done this afternoon. So we'll see how we go for time. Is there a 10-second stream delay? Yeah, there is. Unfortunately, not much I can do about that at the moment because the stream's already underway and it won't let me change the latency settings. But I've got it set on like what YouTube calls normal latency so that closed captions are available for anyone that wants to use them. That's the justification for it. Some games that are a little bit more fast-paced and have more community interaction and engagement, I'll drop that down, and that's, it's a bit of a sacrifice we have to make. But yeah, for now, there is roughly like a 10 to 15 stream second delay, so just keep that in mind. But I will keep an eye on chat, and there'll be plenty of opportunity for jokes and a little bit of bounce as we go. So let's dive in and see if we can figure out what the hell is going on. In fact, it looks like this first scene might be the last time we have to meet with our therapist, who has basically been judging us since we moved to this new city. and basically trying to make sure that we're of sound mental health, because we are one of the less than 1% of people in the world that don't experience Komorebi, and that leads to some interesting dynamics in terms of how we integrate into society and how we interact with others. So part of the city's rules are that you basically have to get vetted by a psych before you're allowed to stay permanently, and until then you're basically kind of not on parole, but yeah, it's not permanent. All right, let's go.
Experience pivotal fragment. Final session.
Yeah, there we go. So it is our final psych session. Beautiful. Let's do it. And yes, there is a foghorn ship sound every time. The people we end up hating are usually the ones we love the most. Don't know if I agree with that. It's profound in its own way. Right, I've got to get back into character. I have to get myself back into the mindset of the most boring protagonist in the world, Delta, who has basically no personality, no ambition, no goals, and no ideals. So, right, blank slate, activate. Hey Spider, how you doing? Welcome back, just in time to make sure that we can keep on top of the Komorebi count. I have no idea where we got to on it because it has been about 2 weeks since we last played, but the count was, I'm going to say somewhere in the 70s, somewhere around there. We do have the power to turn back time? Not really. We have the ability to go and review memories. We can't rewind time and change decisions. Alright. Everything feels so weird right now. The fact that someone could watch my counselor sessions is so invasive. I'm just glad that we haven't gotten into anything super personal with each other. I have to assume that you don't really care about my life before Toronto, so let's just leave that a secret, alright? A new start should be a new start. I'm not hiding anything bad, it's just stuff I'd rather stay in my memories. And that's kind of an ironic expression now though, isn't it? Knowing that our memories could be viewed in the future changes everything. Even more so than the system, in my opinion. That's surface level by comparison. Ah yeah, true, save files will absolutely do it. Spider, how many name drops you left in the middle of the previous stream? Ask someone else to count. I honestly don't know. You may need to go back and skim through the previous one. Actually, it should be in the chat for it, but I can't access that anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, it would have been in there. If you want, I would say start a fresh count, and then at the end of this stream, you can go back and figure out where the last one ended off, and we can add it together. I mean, if we really care that much, that's the question. If I'd been on top of things, I would have put a counter on screen, and we could have been manually updating that as we went, but to be honest, I kind of left that to you guys because I totally forgot. We monitor and control our behavior in public so we don't lose any points, but with this new technology, we could be held accountable for anything. It'd make us self-monitor our actions on a whole new level, far deeper than before. I can think of some positive applications of this, but I doubt that's what Argus wants. Crimes could be a thing of the past, criminals found guilty through their own memories. And there's even the therapy angle. Part of me knows this is most likely a lie. It's a new generation of invasive Argus tech, plain and simple. Our lives weren't enough anymore, they were coming for our minds. Unless, of course, everything ended in a way that harms their grasp. I'm probably going to Argus HQ with Isaac for his interview. Anything I see or witness there could be used against Argus in the future. It's weird how I'm using knowledge of the future to change how I live in the present. Is that what it's like to live with Komorebi? There we go, there's our first name drop. It was gonna happen. I shake my head and snap back to the situation at hand. This would be my last session, wouldn't it? Then I'd be free. The counselor stares down at my file, flipping the pages. The sight of that folder is ingrained in my memory. Whenever I saw it, it used to fill me with anxiety about what he was writing. But now I know our time together is at an end, and my mind is at peace. It's odd how much stress was gone after I changed the way I was thinking. This new perspective on life almost gave me a new reason to keep pushing forward. Of course, it could all be denial and a justification for my increasing paranoia, but I'd rather not think about that right now.
Well, I guess this is it, huh? It's been a nice few weeks, Delta. I'm proud of you.
The name drops aren't exactly something special, but because they always highlighted Komorebi in yellow, we made it just a bit of a fun in-joke to start counting every time that they drop it. They have been using like red and blue with negative and positive connotations, which was really interesting because quite often when they spoke about death or, you know, being imprisoned or something like that, it was always in red text. And they also used that to associate with the Zeros and their two leaders, who were Cypher and Hermes. They were always in red text. On the other hand, Argus Tech Corporation was in blue, really giving that kind of like sense of opposition between the two and making you trust Argus Corporation. But as of the most recent events where protesters were killed, all of a sudden that's flipped. And now anything to do with the Zeros is in blue, and anything to do with Argus is in red. So it's a nice way to kind of visualize that change in perception and in trust. I nod and smile.
Most people struggle when they try adapting to a new life. As romantic as a fresh start can be, the reality is pretty harsh. You've stayed level-headed, though, and made the most of it all.
Yeah, I'm surprised I stayed level-headed, considering I've been having visions of Argus agents in my mind who have been trying to blackmail me. He flips through my file, looking over his notes until he reaches the last page. Scribbling a few notes down, he then looks up and stares me in the eye.
Honestly, there's not much else to say. The final step is just your consent and your signature.
Another signature?
Just a conclusion of the paper trail that we've started together. Nothing invasive. That is, if you're ready to be cleared.
I mean, I think I am. Right. I guess that's the big question. If I'm ready to be cleared. I know that I can't open up to him about everything. It'd incriminate all of us. But if I was honest about how I felt, he'd probably keep me as a patient. I mean, feeling like I'm being spied on from the future? Living my life like there's someone else in my head? None of that would land well with him. I know it. It rubs me the wrong way to lessen the importance of my mental health. But I also know that Isaac can change the world as long as he's not caught. It has to be a for the greater good kind of thing then. I cannot read that line without cringing so much internally. There's every time like I see the word gulp, it just makes me think of those like TikTok memes with the people that pull the overly expressive and animated faces. You probably know the ones that I'm talking about, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you're very fortunate not to have been exposed to that. I have to swallow my pride on some of these lines, I think. I gulp.
Delta,
Yes?
I was asking if you consent to the clearing. Then we can get that form out of the way.
He's suspicious of my hesitation. I guess by consent, he means to declare that my mental health is good. I actually don't get a choice on this. And also very odd that the 3 dots, the ellipsis at the end, is also in yellow. Not quite sure why they've made that particular choice. Yeah, if you don't use TikTok, that's probably good. I don't use TikTok either, to be honest, but you know, you go on sites like Imgur, Facebook, Reddit, TikTok stuff gets shared all over the place. I've seen a lot of this kind of stuff on Reddit in terms of like some of the cringe TikTok kind of stuff, and it is incredibly cringe. Is that kind of content that you watch and you're so appalled by what you're seeing that you keep watching just to see if it gets worse, and then it does, and then you're left just feeling uncomfortable is probably the best word. I don't even watch YouTube shorts. Well done, and that's probably a good thing. I keep finding myself going down the YouTube short rabbit hole by complete mistake. And it's a dangerous thing. I don't know what it is. I always find like if I have just done like a full day of work and I'm like mentally tired, YouTube Shorts is very easy to get in a rabbit hole of watch the next one, watch the next one, watch the next one, watch the next one. And it seems to be, at least for me personally, there's a mindset of waiting for the right one to signal that you can stop. And I have no idea what criteria a right YouTube short falls into. Am I waiting for something that's particularly funny so I have a laugh and go, right, I've gotten my fulfillment out of this and move on? Am I waiting for something educational? Am I waiting for a YouTube short that actually literally just says, stop this? There needs to be more of those. My YouTube shorts get filled up with random anime clips, comedy skits, a lot of that kind of stuff. But a lot of it is just not that funny. It's really kind of like just mid-humor where you watch it and you might go, eh. That's about it. There's very few that are like proper laugh out loud comedic stuff. But then the problem is you get one of those and you go, oh, that was good, maybe there's more. And that's what keeps you in that perpetual loop. There is no end to YouTube shorts. The only thing that makes me stop watching them is realizing how much time I've wasted that could have been spent doing other actual productive things. And that's pretty depressing. So on that note, to be honest, I'm not doing that great. And there's the mind hack that I was talking about earlier. Love that. Use a conversational choice that looked perfectly normal, and the system basically goes, you're not allowed to say that. That's not how things go. Jeez. That's a nice little bit of storytelling they're doing there. Yeah, Bartosek, you get it as well. Kurosa, hello, how's it going? You have stepped into a very different kind of stream to what we were doing earlier this week. So apologies, it's totally fine if this kind of game is not for you. Don't feel like you need to watch this content just because you're enjoying what's on my channel. This is a very different kind of thing. Yeah, behold, the only somewhat interesting thing about Delta. Oh no. The only interesting thing about Delta is that his brain has been hacked. And when someone else controls him, it's infinitely more interesting. Kurosa, if you want to rewind a little bit in the live stream, before I get into the actual gameplay, there's a little bit of an explanation of what this game is actually about. This is part 6 of a visual novel that we're working through, so totally fine if you want to go, that's not for me, duck out, wait for a more interesting game to come up on stream, because basically this is going to be either the last or second last time that we stream this game, because we're about to wrap up the story and actually finish the game finally. It's been a long one. Next week we're going to be going back to Ebenezer and the Invisible World, which is a Christmas themed Metroidvania with absolutely gorgeous graphics and pretty solid game mechanics so far. And the week after that, it'll either be the finale of Komorebi, or if we actually finish it this stream, if I stop going off on tangents, we'll be spinning the wheel for something new. Because that's what we do with our live streams. It's always going to be something different. I don't stick to one genre. Everything I play is community suggested, or content in alphabetical order for my main channel. All right. So we tried to say we're not doing well, but no, to be honest, I'm doing great. Yeah.
Glad to hear it.
He leans forward and hands me a piece of paper. I give it a brief glance. All it needs is my signature.
You should be proud of yourself for this, Delta. Getting cleared is a big life event for someone like you.
I mean, yeah, it's what lets me actually get integrated into society. It is big. He sighs like he's thinking of the good old days.
I remember when I was cleared.
Okay.
It was the best day of my life. In fact, it went on to shape me into the man I've become.
We were hypothesizing earlier that he was also someone who didn't experience Komorebi. It seems like we're right. Hey, if you want something both interesting and fun, recommend Lisa the Pointless, an RPG about finding something better in life. I think I've heard about Lisa the Pointless before. Or at least one just called Lisa. Let me have a quick look. Let's see if it's the game that I'm thinking of. Because I'm thinking of like a pretty tough 2D platformer. No, I'm thinking of Lisa the Painful. Are you thinking of Lisa the Painful? So I don't think Lisa the Pointless is a thing. I think you might be thinking of Lisa the Painful. Which, yes, is a 2D game with combat, bunch of tough decisions to make, and a lot of characters that can absolutely die and never come back. So I think that's the game you're talking about. But yeah, unfortunately for community suggestion games, it does need to have 200 or less reviews. Otherwise, you'll need to wait for me to get there in alphabetical order eventually. Oh, The Pointless is a fan game for Lisa. Interesting. Okay, that might actually qualify then. Yeah, I guess he would have had to see a counselor too. For some reason, that never crossed my mind. Your counselor inspired you to pursue this career?
Yeah, I owe it all to them. They taught me how important this field can be. As my patient, we share a very special bond.
A very special bond. Also, so much of this plot is overtly sexual, and it's pretty amusing.
The honesty, the trust. It's a beautiful thing. You know, you've helped me out too.
Have I? How have I done that? I've helped him out? How exactly?
It's the resolve I sense in you, Delta. In a position like this, you rarely see the best side of people. My sessions with you have been a breath of fresh air.
Well, that's a little bit of a punch to the gut, just knowing that we've been constantly lying to him about a lot of stuff. You rarely see the best side of people, and it's been really refreshing to see that in you. I'm just like, poker face. I have lied to you about everything in every single session. Shit.
It can be a massive burden bearing other people's problems. Sometimes we care so much for them that we forget about ourselves. You've been a gentle reminder, if I had to put it into words.
That is true. I have been helping other people with their problems. Still don't quite know how, because my character is completely and utterly useless, but okay. A gentle reminder, huh? You know, ever since I arrived, everyone's talking about how I shake things up. Are they going to address the point? Maybe I'm just an inspiring kind of person. No, you're not. You're really not. You know what? Actually, no, you are. You're an inspiring kind of person because it inspires everyone else around you to be better than you. Oh, no. Or maybe I'm just full of myself. Isaac said the same, actually. I shook things up for a lot of people.
Remember when I told you that your time in the spotlight would come? Maybe it already has, and it's just not what you expected.
Oh, peaking early.
Someone needs to hold the spotlight after all. Maybe it's your job to shine it on others and bring out their full potential.
That's a very polite way of saying there's no point of you being in the spotlight. I don't know why, but hearing those words fills me with joy. If Isaac does win, then I suppose I could take a little credit for it. No, you can't. Might not end up in any history books, but nobody needs that. Especially when you fit the handsome sidekick role so well. Cool! So we're the token good-looking character with that guy who has absolutely no skills, but just got good genetics. Love it. Love that for us.
I forgot to ask. Did you see the news, like I mentioned?
You mean the leader of Argus making an appearance?
Yeah, it's quite a big deal, isn't it? But now you know what that phone call was all about. Sorry for cutting another session short, but it had to happen. I don't even know who the leader of Argus is. So I'll be glued to the TV just like everybody else.
That's true. So far they've spoken a lot about the leader of Argus, the tech corporation, but yeah, we don't know who they are. They've not been given a name. I don't think we've met them. Interesting that not even he knows anything. For some reason I saw him as a man full of wisdom. But I guess beneath the surface he really is just like me. I give him a smile as I sign the papers and hand them over.
Well, this is always the awkward part. You're no longer a patient of mine, Delta. But I have to say, I hate to see you go.
I do still find it incredibly amusing that apparently this character, the therapist, is the character that fans of this game want to date the most. Which I think really says something about the people that play this game. They feel inclined to date their therapist, because that's where they feel they've gotten the closest connection. I nod. It kind of sucks that our partnership has to end.
Can you do me just one favor, Delta?
There are so many responses to that come to line, but okay. Of course, what is it?
Keep inspiring others, all right? If you uplift the right people, you could end up changing the world.
I mean, if he just turned around after that sentence and went, "Get naked now," I think a lot of people would have been very okay with that. He holds out his hand and I give it a firm shake.
Just remember, there's no greater power than moral support. At least that's what I tell myself before every session.
I mean, financial support's probably pretty up there as well. I mean, if you can give both financial and moral support, then that's amazing. He smiles and releases the grip as if that was the perfect thing to say. I thank him for everything and leave the office one last time. It's a bittersweet finale, but I'm left with a feeling of hope. He definitely cast a light upon one of my darkest hours. Perhaps I'd make a good counselor one day too. Especially if I keep inspiring those around me. Cool. Alright, there is one pivotal fragment done. We are done with our therapy sessions, which sadly means we're probably not going to see the therapist again. Goodbye to the best character. Alright, so game's done. We don't need to go any further, right? No, go. Let's carry on.
Experience pivotal fragment. Line con.
Why did it say that in such like a sus-sounding way? This is just the convention. So I know, because this bedroom that we're seeing here is the one in like the hotel of the convention we're staying in, so there's at least like 4 convention-related scenes. You reckon he's definitely Hermes? He could be. Absolutely could be. Be yourself. Your time in the spotlight will come eventually. The advice I heard that I love is be yourself. Unless you can be Batman, in which case, be Batman. We stand in the line waiting for it to move. It's definitely frozen in place. I wonder what the holdup is.
Great. The con is gonna be over by the time we register.
You don't get a special pass? Aren't you hosting a big panel?
Yeah, but I don't think they care. Besides, that'd be way too easy to take advantage of.
How so?
No idea. Just a hunch.
Only members of the press get special badges, but I think the media has bigger concerns right now.
Yeah, like dead people.
Don't you get in free if you volunteer?
Maybe?
No, but if you help
Okay,
out
no.
enough, you get a free pass for next year. That way people don't abuse the system for free entry.
Yeah, that's fair. I get
Yeah, there's no such thing as a freebie. That's the most important life advice I could ever give.
You kind of hand out your attitude free of charge.
that. And now I remember why I love these conversations. The interactions between the characters are pretty good for the most part.
Actually, most people end up paying for it when they see it on stream.
You lucky bastard.
I still can't believe that.
I've been watching Taylor for a long time. And you know what? It's been worth every penny.
They're forgetting about the most important thing. Paying to watch a streamer is completely and utterly optional. I love they're just making the assumption here that everyone that watches Taylor's live streams is like, oh yeah, I'll pay for that.
I think Dante is just jealous. He probably wishes he could do what you do.
No.
I am definitely going to entertain this and turn it into a fight.
It's not true.
I kind of feel betrayed, you know? I've bought all of your books, sometimes twice.
I didn't think you could read.
Wait, twice?
Yeah, one physical, one digital. I've bought all of Clace's albums, too. I like to support my friends, not insult them.
That is definitely incorrect.
Oh, Sander, thank you for reminding me as well. I'll have a nice little surprise to be able to do after this live stream, actually. I've got some new emotes to be able to add, both to the Discord server and to the YouTube channel as well. Recently just finished another commission with Disaster Risk, so we've got 5 more emotes coming your way with some nice little poses, and you'll be able to spot one in the video that comes out tomorrow, which I think people are going to enjoy. I think it will surprise you in a good way.
Besides, I support all of you too.
Gifts of your own novels don't count.
They should.
It's the thought that counts.
He has a point, Dante. Taylor doesn't hand out free subscriptions to his channel. And Clace hasn't given us copies of his albums either.
Yeah, the chat overlay unfortunately has some problems with emotes. I don't think there's anything I can do to fix it, because I think it's an issue with YouTube. No, not YouTube, with Streamlabs. Something about the way it passes it just doesn't, it's not able to display the emotes correctly, which is a little unfortunate. Not the end of the world, though. It's something, when I get time, I'm going to work around and see if I can find a fix for it. I need someone who is someone who's like really specialized in dealing with setting up live streams, just to kind of give this one a little bit of an overhaul and get everything running smoothly. But I don't know anyone that has that skill set, so I have to figure it out later.
I just enjoy sharing my work with the people I care about.
Conveniently during birthdays and milestones, it seems.
Hold on. Delta's always the voice of reason.
Oh, this is the first time that we don't have, like, just a real neutral response. Holy crap, it only took like 13 hours of gameplay to get to a point where we have to make something that resembles a real decision. So we say, he gave me a copy of his book on New Year's Eve, or you're being too hard on him, he's just proud of his work. I am going to go with... Oh, yeah, he gave me a copy of his book on New Year's Eve, because he did. New Year's Eve present, here, have a copy of my book. But you know what, it was a special gift, because it was signed, autographed, it was actually, like, in the moment, it was quite thoughtful.
I knew it.
Really, Delta?
Yeah, sorry. I mean, you did. You kind of walked into that one.
If it's that troublesome, I'll just stop.
I think they're just bugging you.
I can't get a read on you, man. You go from calling me a genius to jealous.
You can be more than one thing, Dante.
Well, right now, I'm just annoyed.
Mm-hmm.
Can we make this line go by any faster?
No, probably not.
Not unless we're a member of the press, apparently.
I can see cosplayers walking to the front of the line.
Well, you guys are already wearing fair suits, that counts.
How is that fair?
Well, it makes sense that they'd get priority. It'd be easy to overheat or get uncomfortable in those things.
What's stopping people from taking advantage of that? Just putting on a costume and getting priority?
So, are we going to end up just spending out of our timeline, or are we going to come up with a plan to work around this? That's the question.
That wouldn't be taking advantage of anything.
I'm just being miserable, Isaac.
Yes, you are.
Hey, maybe I can skip the line then.
Ooh, use your celebrity privilege?
How?
Remember that wager we had? I can say I'm cosplaying and see if they believe me.
There's no way they'll believe that.
So for reference, they made a bet in the group that someone at this convention would recognize Clace. Sorry, not Clace. Was it Clace? Yeah, no, he is, yeah. Basically because he is a celebrity. He's, taking like a break from work at the moment, but people would probably still recognize him.
Why'd you side with me then? If they don't, you'll be losing $500.
Oh, there it is. Instant regret.
Yep.
We get to save a grand and watch Dante lose? This is shaping up to be the best weekend ever.
Yeah, unfortunately, it does not have an option to speed things up because it's all voice acted. There's no way to make it go faster.
Do you think you can pull it off, Clace?
Meant to be a more laid-back game.
I can try, yeah. At the very least, it'll help pass the time.
Fair enough.
Gonna die of old age before this line is over, I swear.
For you? That's not too far away.
Nah, there is no speed up stuff. In the config, this is all you get. Background music, sound effect volume, voice volume, and full screen. That's it. And the amusing part that I found in this game is that there is actually no way to exit the game. You can save, you can load, there is no quit function. So every time I want to stop playing the game, it's Alt F4 time, and I feel like I'm just having to take it out back and put a bullet through its brains.
Dude, I'm 23.
Taylor makes a sound that signals his annoyance and turns away.
You're all good if I step away for a minute or two?
Go for
Go
it.
for it. We'll still see you from here.
Just try your hardest, all right? I don't want to lose $500.
Hey, you agreed to the bet.
He smirks and walks away. As he makes his way to the head of the line, he passes a large crowd. It's so odd. I see no grief or pain on any of their faces. It seems like a lot of people just want to have fun and forget about everything. I guess that's fair. The situation outside wasn't exactly the brightest, but it's that do-nothing mentality that caused everything to begin with. Even we were partying and pre-gaming while the Zeros starved. At least we opened our eyes, along with a big portion of the world. That town square was now full of allies, too many for Argus to take down. It seemed like their best course of action might just be a full surrender. What else was the leader expected to do, anyway? They were appearing for the first time with their approval at an all-time low. Anything other than subservience and an apology would be laughable at best. They need to be held accountable for this. Maybe I'm just saying that because I fear for our safety, though. Despite what Isaac says, Cypher's defeat is still a very real possibility. I gotta stop provoking my anxiety like this. I keep watching the crowd and I'm struck by a moment of Sonder. Oh, I've got to look this one up. Sonder is like a wistful feeling from memory. Yeah. Yes, the realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and complex as your own, populated with their own ambitions, friends, routines, etc. That lovely realization that other people are people, and although you might think you're the main character, they think they're the main character. Every person here has a life just as complex as mine. Dreams, fears, loved ones, and even enemies. Normally when this happens, I just admire the realization. But this time, I feel jealous. For the first time, I wish I was someone else. Someone out there who might not have Argus hot on their trail. Does such a person even exist, though? When I start thinking about it, Argus has almost everybody in their grasp. The possibility of taking down such a foe seems almost impossible to me. At the very least, I'm envious of their ignorance. They say that it's bliss, and I'm actually starting to believe that. The more the world opens up to me, the less welcome I feel.
Hey.
Hi. We all turn to look at Clace, who's finally returned.
Yeah, me and Dante owe you $1,000.
Yeah, actually, most people are more than Delta, absolutely. Yeah, Argus didn't, like, kill 2 people. I think they actually died of starvation. I don't think they were shot or anything like that, but they died during the protest. So Argus as a whole are definitely responsible due to their inaction. Ooh, me and Dante owe you $1,000, so they did get recognized?
What?
Sweet victory!
There we go.
What did you think was gonna happen, Dante?
It's so obvious that it's him, though.
You only say that because you know it is. We're at a convention. Costumes are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
Fine. Fine.
I think that reminds me of a story where I think, who's the actor? Hang on, it's gonna bug me if I don't know if I actually don't get it right. Yes, I think that was it. I think it was Henry Cavill, the actor for Superman, was in... Yeah, he was in his Superman costume, I think it was, and was standing in New York's Times Square, and nobody recognized him as Henry Cavill. They just went, oh hey, there's someone cosplaying as Superman. Looks really good. No one actually clicked and figured out that it was Henry Cavill as his own character. So that's pretty fun. It just goes to show. Some people just really only look surface level. That's really it.
I accept defeat, but I'm gonna be a sore loser about it. So there.
Yeah, I mean, that is entirely all right. Yeah, I've heard that story as well, Sander. Charlie Chaplin came in 3rd place in a Charlie Chaplin lookalike contest. And as to your point saying, they didn't murder anyone, they just didn't stop protesters from killing themselves, legally kind of different. I agree, it is legally kind of different, but the problem is it's still people dying. And that's never a good thing. Death is death.
Don't worry, I'm gonna be a sore winner, too.
Cool, you guys can balance each other out, and I'll go get a room.
It's on then?
Oh, it's on.
Haha. Alright, cool. So we haven't even managed to get into the convention yet. Moving on to part 3.
Experience pivotal fragment. Milestone.
Milestone? Is the milestone getting into the convention? Because that'd be fan-freaking-tastic. So I mean, like, the story is a little more slower paced. Really? You're going to put this quote on us again? There's no greater power than moral support. I wonder if they started running out of content towards the end. They're like, we've set this up, we have to do 6 fragments because that's what we've been doing. but maybe they only had enough, like, story for 4, which is why the pacing feels a bit off here. We all stand around in the hotel room, socializing amongst ourselves. Kind of a standard day. Isaac and Taylor invited a few friends over, so the room was pretty packed. Must be nice for Taylor to find some time for his streamer friends. I imagine a life like that would be pretty busy and full of schedule conflicts. Dante and Isaac stand beside me and we talk about our experience thus far. But Dante is clearly grumpy. Something must be bothering him.
Seriously, Dante, what's wrong?
What is wrong for Dante? Is it the fact that he has to share a room with all of his friends? Is it the fact that he's a bit jealous that no one at the convention has recognized him, a best-selling author? Is he just hungry?
Nothing.
Which means something.
You're a terrible liar.
And I'm apparently a very good one.
I mean, I lost $500. Can you blame me for not being happy?
I definitely can. You're bringing down the vibes, man.
Taylor's ears perk up and he immediately runs over.
Sorry, I couldn't miss this. Go on, Dante. Keep being a sore loser.
I think he's just upset now. He sips his drink while he waits for Dante to respond.
I'm not taking your bait. Besides, I didn't deserve to lose. Something suspicious is going on here.
Oh, so you were cheated.
Absolutely.
Place walks over.
I definitely didn't cheat. We lost fair and square, Dante.
He just doesn't want to accept it.
It's karma, if you ask me. Oh, I've been waiting for this.
Karma for what?
Yeah, come for
Making
what?
my chat buy you those headphones? Come on, we all know that was low.
It wasn't
What?
low. And besides, that wasn't even my fault.
How not?
Isaac is the one that brought it up to begin with.
That's not how I remember it.
Always Isaac's fault.
Seriously?
Yeah, I don't remember that either.
I'm out of the loop here.
Kyron steps over.
Story of my life.
Nice to see you finally.
What's going on?
Dante begged my chat for free money.
Ooh, that's low.
Yeah, okay.
I did not.
Where's your proof? Show me. Come on.
Hold on, I'll scroll back through the group chat.
Wait, I'm starting to remember.
Oh, how convenient.
This is the kind of
Well,
bat that
let's
I enjoy,
drop it
but
anyway.
it's
We're
really
here
not
to
doing
celebrate
anything
with
for the
Delta,
story.
right?
I still want to absolve myself, if that's okay with you.
Nope, not necessary.
Isaac places his hand on my shoulder, clearly changing the subject. It's like he knew Dante was right and he was responsible. I try to think back, but personally, I can't remember because I've not read any of the group text, so I'm gonna have no knowledge of this. A lot has happened in that group chat since I arrived.
Thanks a lot, Isaac. We could have messed with him for a little bit longer.
We'll get around to it.
Taylor smirks and then goes back to his friends. They laugh and smile. I can tell he gets along great with them. He almost looks more happy with them than he does with us. But I guess it makes a difference to hang out with people in your field. And especially to hang out with a group that isn't fighting Argus like we are. I'm an agent of Cypher now. That definitely wasn't on my to-do list.
Well, Delta, how does it feel?
How does what
Getting
feel?
cleared, I mean. Must be a big weight off your shoulders.
Yeah, for sure. A ton of stress just washed away. Or I actually enjoyed talking to him. He was really wise. Yeah, but I'm not a patient anymore. I can ask him out. There it is. Yeah, I agree, Sander. Like, bants are good, but it's kind of like, we've just had a pivotal moment. Where is the plot? Tell the freaking story. I just want to find out what happens with the whole Argus and Zeros thing. Like, we've established this group of friends. We don't need to keep establishing it. We can actually do something now. I have to remember, this is the other half of the content that you come for here, which is just seeing me get pissed off when a game is just not living up to its potential or just being absolutely rubbish. I think I am going to have to go for number 3. I'm pretty sure there's an achievement locked to this, but yeah, if I'm not a patient anymore, I can ask him out.
You can what now? Never mind, actually. It's none of my business.
Side note, for those that weren't aware, we are actually dating him and him at the same time. So we just said this in front of the 2 people that we're dating. Whoops. He smiles and gives me a soft laugh.
Did, anything ever happen, by the way? I mean, with how he was going off curriculum?
Wink. Off curriculum. Yeah, the gay furry visual novel has some trouble being anything other than that. I mean, he's having trouble being a gay furry visual novel at the moment. No, we're just running out of things to talk about.
I see. So he chose current events. Well, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, you know who he is.
I was starting to wonder if he could be part of Cypher. You know, showing you those anti-Argus pamphlets.
Definitely not. He seems really high up in Argus, though.
How high up exactly?
He knew the leader was appearing before anyone else.
Wow. That strikes me as extremely privileged info. You must have got help from the best in the business.
I wonder if he could actually be the Argus Corporation CEO or whatever their title is. If he's their therapist. That's how he's got the insider info. That would be quite amusing.
Explains how they got cleared so quick. Felt like it was only a couple sessions.
It basically was.
Yeah, it kind of was.
Weren't we supposed to keep this stuff on the down low?
I doubt anyone can tell what we're saying, especially with how loud Taylor is.
I can hear you!
That's a nice little touch. I love that.
All right, new subject. You all ready for Hermes Day?
Nope.
As ready as I can be.
Ready, and kinda scared.
That's basically my life motto these days.
That reminds me, I still need to hang out with Dante and Taylor. Do I? Do I really? I owe everyone a heart-to-heart before Hermes Days comes around. Now that they've opened up to me, I bet we'll bond even more. It's cool how much better I know everybody compared to a couple of weeks ago. We're starting to feel like a real family. In this together until the end. Oh, a real family. We had to put that line in there. Yeah, we're just going to date within our family as well, are we? Is that the kind of family we are? Fuck. Really? We're a South American family. Sorry, that probably landed a little bit long, but you probably know what I mean with that. When the time came to enter Argus HQ, no secrets would remain. Unfortunately, that meant for better and for worse. I had no idea how the others would react to learning that Isaac is Hermes. It was all for the greater good, but it definitely called for deception. And if there's anything that can test the limits of forgiveness, it's deception. Of course, not being in touch in their future visions is a pretty bad sign. Yeah, we still have to come to terms with the fact that we did kind of break into Clace's diary and read it, and we're pretty sure he knows. Just what was going to happen on Sunday to us, to everybody? I wish I had someone to talk to about this. Maybe like a therapist. This is what I mean. Delta is like the worst main character ever. Just does not help himself with anything that's going on.
Experience Pivotal Fragment.
Ah!
Rebels and Revels. Finale.
Okay, so it is the last D&D session as well. Let's power through this then. Like this, we're making good progress. Learn to find beauty in the unknown rather than fright. Right. Not... Gotcha. I misread that as learn to find beauty in the unknown rather than finding beauty in fright. Not to find... fright in the unknown. Gotcha. We all sit around the hotel room engrossed in our campaign. Things sure have progressed since we started. I'm really invested.
Well then, you struck a deal with the leader of the Thorns. It seems like they're willing to negotiate things with Isaac.
I'm not even going to attempt to summarize the plot of what's happening in this D&D game because I don't really know either. Thorns are the bad guys, we're the good guys, it's after the war, and we're trying to do something.
That was a little fast. I thought we were in a prison cell.
You were.
I had to expedite things a bit. And remember, stay in character.
Wow, sure glad we got out of that prison cell. Being locked up with Dante sure is a special kind of torture.
Remember, I'm technically your boss.
I'd reconsider threatening me, Dante. If this deal goes south, you'll all die.
He's got you there.
What
That's one
is
way
the
to end
nature
a
of this
campaign.
deal anyway?
Well, it's basically a stalemate right now. We both have enough dirt to ruin each other. So I'm gonna ask them to drop it. Ceasefire, if you will.
Bartazek, what's the point of the D&D game in the story? great question. As far as I can tell, it is a visual novel trope. There needs to be some kind of additional game that's going on. More than anything, it simply serves as an allegory for what's happening in the real world events. So to give a little bit of foreshadowing as to what is probably going to happen in the future for the plot.
And the town square is the best place for that.
Yeah, no, Chiron's always been in the D&D sessions, and of course he's wearing as little clothing as possible because that's what Chiron does.
Wait, I thought we were gonna bring them in. We have enough info to take down their entire organization.
It's more delicate than that. In a situation like this, it's best to trade discretion. We could take them down, but we can never erase info.
And once again as well, even in the D&D world, Delta's character is completely and utterly useless. We achieved nothing.
Just trust me, alright? And yeah, the town square is the best spot. Too open for an ambush, and we're keeping civilians at a distance.
Yeah, no, Chiron didn't appear in the first memory that we did, because that was the therapy session. Didn't appear in the second, did briefly appear in the third one that we were just doing with that like conversation that was going on. It popped up, had like 2 lines, and then disappeared again. Chiron is usually like a side character unless it's something that specifically deals with the zeros.
I'll take your word for it.
I hope they show up this time.
What do you mean?
They did
Last
it
time I arranged a meeting, it didn't go so well. Thankfully, the Monarch had my back.
That was a different kind of meeting, Isaac. I say, apparently I have some context for this.
Right. But
Oh,
it's
there we
good
are.
to have some
Moral
moral
support.
support either way. Especially when there's so much on the line.
The one thing that our character is good for, cheering on everyone else. Delta might as well just be a cheerleader at this point. We've never seen what they look like, so maybe they are just walking around in like a cheerleader outfit, complete with pom-poms the entire time, being like, "Go, Isaac!"
So we just wait, then?
I agree. Chiron is probably one of the more interesting characters in this story because they actually have like a pivotal role in the plot. So the most interesting characters would be Isaac and Chiron. You could probably remove almost all of the other characters because they're so far non-essential to the core plot.
Yeah, but by now we're experts at it. Besides, they agreed to show up before nightfall. It lessens the risk of an ambush on either side.
Our group of heroes waits in the town square. Eventually, as time passes, many of you start to lose hope. The window of time for their arrival gets smaller and smaller.
I'm starting to lose hope of this game having
Where
a good
are they?
conclusion.
Something must have come up.
No, they'll be here. I promise. If not, then how about we go on the offensive?
You mean take them down like we originally planned?
Yeah, no, that's always going to end the conversation. There's going to be no combat rounds. How are you going to do combat in a visual novel like this?
At least we gave them a chance for peace.
True. Sounds like a plan to me. Been dying to put my sword arm to use again.
And I've been dying for something interesting to happen.
True, there hasn't been much fighting since the war. Looks like your arms have gotten a bit smaller, Chiron.
You didn't say that.
Right, of course not. Sorry.
More time passes, and then more. You're about to give up hope. And then
what? Someone walks into the scene. We find that we're surrounded by armed militia. A horse explodes. Delta does something.
someone approaches from the far side of the square.
First
As
option.
promised, they came alone. Just in time, too.
They came alone, but we came in a group of 6. That feels like they did a dumb thing.
Hey, everybody!
Of course it's you.
Oh no.
Really? A GM-controlled character?
Oh, I'm sorry, what? GM-controlled characters are everywhere in a D&D campaign. Anyone that is not a main member of the party is a GM-controlled character. This should not be a surprise. I'm sorry, that is complete and utter BS.
Is that allowed?
Yes, of course that's allowed. That's how D&D works.
Yeah, it is.
I came for Isaac.
You, might want to use less aggressive wording.
The negotiations.
Wow, they went there.
I came to resolve this.
Again, stop coming.
That's better. Did you come alone?
Yeah, but even DMPCs are very normal as well. When you've got a pivotal character, it's normal for the GM to actually step in and roleplay that character in order to help progress the narrative. I actually am part of a D&D group. We meet every Monday evening, and our DM does that all the freaking time. Like, you're interacting with a shopkeeper, you're interacting with a narrative important character. You've got another NPC in your party that will converse with you as you travel. Like, it's really normal, and that feels as a really weird complaint when a plot pivotal character enters a scene. Why would you not have that be controlled by the GM? Makes no sense.
As instructed.
Really?
What I will say is I appreciate that they did change up the music for this scene. That's a nice touch.
You calling me a liar? My entire organization is built on the truth.
Just being cautious. The townspeople are starting to watch from afar.
Yeah, because you're all a bunch of weirdos.
Good thing they have nothing to worry about. Peaceful negotiations, remember?
Yeah.
A tense atmosphere fills the town square. The slowly setting sun offers lighting to increase the drama. This was a standoff between the two best information brokers in the world.
I'm going to take slow steps toward you now. I promise not to make any sudden movements. In my pocket is a paper that we stole from your quarters. If we were to leak it, we'd have cause to take down the Thorns. I take slow steps toward the leader of the Thorns. I'm going to hand you the paper, and you can leave. Go back to your HQ and destroy all the intel you have on us.
This feels like a really dumb decision. Why should they not have brought the intel when we do an exchange, right? Because at this point, the leader of the Thorns could just take that paper, go back to HQ, and do nothing. Unless we've got copies of the paper, in which case, alright, sure, we can do that. They can at least have the paper to verify the information that we've got on them, but so far, this just feels like a dumb decision.
After that, remain silent about everything. We won't bother you, and you don't bother us.
Spider Macho, great question. Let's have a quick peek to see how many subs we've lost so far today. I'm very curious to see that. Every time I do a stream of this game, I lose. Oh yeah, we've lost subs. We've lost about 25 subs today. Perfect. Why do I keep doing this? I've lost well over 100, maybe close to 200 subs over the course of streaming this game. That is my commitment to the bit for doing these community games and seeing them through. That is how much I value all of you.
How can I believe that, Isaac? Your monarch would let the Thorns roam free?
Yeah, Bartosek, that's 100% for real. My sub count is, it's been staying around 32,000 for a while because every time I stream this game, it drops down. So I think before the stream, I was on about 32,005, and now I'm down to 31,979. Streaming this game tends to find the people that are allergic to furries or just, I don't know, allergic to diversity, I guess. To be fair, they're probably people that would have left at some point because eventually I would have played something for the main series that would have offended them. So that's them. This is completely optional content as well. I personally don't get it. It's not like I'm suddenly becoming a furry visual novel only YouTube channel. This just happens to be one of the games that we're playing right now. You don't have to watch this content if you don't want to. I'm not forcing anyone to do it. I'm not rebranding my entire channel to focus on this. This is side quest. It's additional content for people that want it. So I don't get it, but it's also kind of amusing. Alright, so how can I believe that, Isaac, your monarch would let the Thorns roam free?
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Mazeo will always have a criminal underworld. If we took you down, someone else would just rise up. So why not agree to put aside our differences? Who knows? We might even need each other's help in the future.
Bartol, technically I've done 2 visual novels, because I did one for the Battle Hop Simulator, Bunny Hop Simulator visual novel, which was absolutely atrocious. And then we had the Madison Delarue one, which was also completely bizarre. But people were here for that because they're on real, like, edgy topics, where this one, not so much. Maybe edgy in a different way.
Very well. Continue stepping forward.
I keep stepping forward, taking slow, cautious steps.
Music's fading
I know
down.
that any sudden movement could be seen as an attack.
Well, so could anything that this other guy does.
But little did he know, that's exactly what I had planned.
Oh, we are going to kill him.
When I get close enough, I reach into my pocket. But instead of a paper, I pull out my dagger.
Is that a euphemism for something?
What? Isaac?
I grab the leader of the Thorns, holding them hostage. I press the dagger against their throat in anger.
Not Tony, wait, what simulator? Bunny Hop Simulator. Yeah, B-Hop Simulator. That review video was 3 games in 1, because there was B-Hop Simulator... Oh, God, what was it? It was like 2024 edition and 2020 edition or something like that. Let's have a look. What the hell was it that I played? B-Hop. Ah, yes, there it is. It was new Epic Scuffed B-Hop Simulator 2023 PogChamp Edition and new Scuffed B-Hop Simulator 2026 Game of the Year Edition. PogChamp. That was, yeah, those were games that I had to play through, and those games nearly broke me because I really struggled to get through them because bunny hopping is not a skill that I've really had to do. Anyway, we're actually in a tense moment. Grab the leader of the Thorns, holding them hostage. Press the dagger against their throats in anger.
What are you doing?
I'm threatening you.
As if you don't know. You came alone? Nice joke. I see 2 archers on the roof to the left, and 2 more on the roof to my right.
This is not how D&D works. Can you imagine you're playing a real game of D&D? There's nothing on the table, it's just conversation going on, you're approaching this person, and then you just bullshit and go, oh yeah, there's 2 archers up there and 2 archers up there, and the DM's like, no, there's not. You're basically forcing the DM's hand into whatever fantasy you've concocted in your own head as a player. That is, Isaac, you are a terrible member of this D&D group. Atrocious.
I apply more pressure to his throat with the dagger. My turn to ask, what were you thinking?
Just trying to guarantee my safety.
I don't mean right now. Why did you skip out on our last meeting?
Huh?
No, Isaac said there were archers. The DM never said that, so now he's forced to roll with it. Yeah, the writers definitely never played D&D. I agree, Spider.
Sweet, he figured it out.
I know who you are. I figured it out in your quarters.
Then perhaps you'd consider showing me mercy.
I can show you something else.
Not after what you did to me. I've been looking for you my whole life.
Wait, is that?
Yeah, that's penis.
And that's the big twist. The leader of the Thorns is Isaac's father.
I really don't see the resemblance.
What? Oh, the irony. He abandoned his son to save him from the family business. He didn't want Isaac to live his life surrounded by crime and deception. But in doing so, he only condemned Isaac to that life from the start. In the pursuit of finding his parents, he became the swindler he was today. He embraced the very world that his parents tried to keep him out of.
Lovely plot points, nice bit of character backstory, completely irrelevant to everything else that's going on. But if we're treating this as an allegory for what's been happening in the real world, this tells me that Isaac, like, we know he had an influential father, probably has either much closer ties to the Zeros or much closer ties to Argus than we've been led to believe. Quite likely that the leader of Argus is actually, in reality, Isaac's father, given that we've just had this revelation.
Wow.
You might not want to watch this.
Wait, Isaac, don't kill him. Whatever happened, you can work it out.
No,
Isaac, please. Put the dagger away.
I'm not budging on this one, Dante.
The whole group tries to talk Isaac down, especially when they were under the eyes of several archers.
Isaac, this isn't what we're like. The monarchy doesn't assassinate people.
This isn't an assassination, this is murder.
Then consider this my resignation. I run the dagger across his throat, then throw him to the ground.
Brutal. You actually went for it.
Isaac, seriously?
There's no time to act. The archers let loose in an act of revenge. Isaac tries his best to dodge, but he's shot through the left shoulder.
Oh no! I'm shot!
Oh no! I'm shot. It's like fucking. Oh no! I've been impaled. That's so bad. Oh, it's so bad. Oh no! What's happening?
In that moment, everyone flees from the town square. Arrows rain down upon you, and you try your best to escape unharmed. But one heartbreaking fact is clear. Isaac flees in the other direction, away from his friends. In this moment, he chose revenge over his loyalty to the monarchy.
See, a good DM in that moment would have gone, all right, you attempt to slit his throat. Roll attack. You miss.
Revenge for his father abandoning him as a child. Revenge for every bad thing that ever happened in his life. It didn't even matter to him that the townspeople watched in shock.
I mean, fair.
To them, they saw the monarchy resort to assassination. They'd never know who that was, or that the thorns would fall apart. You all escape unharmed, but several questions linger in the air. What would happen to the monarchy next? What would the people think about your cause now? Isaac's actions struck a blow to the integrity of everything.
Not Tony. Seemed to be wounded. 'Tis but a flesh wound.
Did he really abandon you after taking his revenge? Was everything that happened worth it? Is your rule in jeopardy? I think those answers we should save for the sequel.
Oh god, Komorebi Part 2. Hey. Hunter Ells, don't you dare. Alright. 2 fragments left to go. D&D story is done. Xander, to the game's defense, it does seem like Isaac and the DM set this up together. Possibly. But still not cool. Still not cool.
Experience
I stand
pivotal
by
fragment.
my thoughts.
Rebels and Revels. Aftermath.
Okay, so we do get a recap of what's going on with it. Alright. Your failures should inspire you rather than hold you back. Yeah, I agree. That failures are meant to be learned from. We all sit around the table, exchanging satisfied glances. This is a new music track as well, and I think we've had this one before. I guess that was the end of our campaign, at least our little test campaign.
Well, what'd you think?
You were an average DM at best. We never rolled a single die in the entire game. I was waiting for the combat scenarios. They never happened, and I am truly disappointed.
I'm impressed, but I thought you wanted to avoid a cliffhanger.
Ooh, we got some synth going in that one.
No, it wasn't that bad. Besides, we answered a major question, so for me, that's enough resolution.
You triggered revolution.
Yeah, that was a pretty good finale. Definitely fit the tone and style of everything.
Nice little twist at the end, too. I mean, my father was the leader of the Thorns.
He didn't know about it. He didn't know about it. That was all improv'd.
I thought I'd triple down on the irony. Gotta feel bad for your character, though.
Well, he did what he had to do. just like he always does. At least now he has closure on something that haunted him forever.
It's kind of cool how this all lined up with our own world, too. Well, our rebellion took down the
Place can
Triumvirate,
break the
right?
fourth wall.
They were clearly evil, so we changed the world for the better.
And this is where, this is the thing that the game does that really kind of just, rubs me the, whoa, nope, that's bad phrasing, that really grinds my gears. And that's that anytime the game does something that's really kind of clever, in terms of, for example, this D&D game having been an allegory for what's happening in the real world, it now turns around and goes, we kind of probably should explain this for the people that can't make that connection for themselves, rather than it just being a really nice extra layer for the people that are engaged with the narrative and following along and understanding the story that they're trying to tell. Because now they're probably going to turn around and be like, oh yeah, here's what's going on. Just, you don't need to do this. You don't need to do this. You can assume that your players are smart enough to understand, and if they don't understand, that's okay as well.
But there was a power struggle between us and the Thorns. If we continue the story, I imagine they'd be the first of many.
Oh, I see what you're getting at.
Yeah, exactly. If we treat
There it
Argus
is.
like the Triumvirate, the result could be the same. Competitors will rise up, taking advantage of the gap in power.
That's the most realistic outcome, yeah. But I imagine in our world, the competition won't be as underhanded.
Yeah, Tony, you're absolutely right. That's what I was getting at. The writer's not heard of show, don't tell. You don't have to treat your audience like they're 5 years old and need every single thing explained to them to the nth degree just in case they didn't get it.
Or it's violent, hopefully.
Or that. We'll probably just see new companies rise up, each one with their own unique identity and benefits, but they'll all be tied to the system, not just Argus.
Unless we take down the system as well as Argus.
Do you think Argus is using the system to their own end?
Abso-freaking-lutely.
If they were, it was probably in the name of the greater good. Even I agree that Komorebi requires some level of social control. But not nearly as much as they've led us to believe. They're using fear of the unknown as a weapon.
And it was working, too.
I'm loving all these parallels between real life and our campaign. Makes it seem like Taylor actually took time to plan all this.
Could you make this any more obvious? I think they're going to go for the angle of, oh, it's a complete coincidence. Taylor's not smart enough for this.
Of course I did.
Oh, he did.
Remember, you
Okay.
baited me into doing this. If I let down the storyteller of the group, I'd be crushed.
Yeah, you did a good job. Even connected Isaac's backstory to the overall narrative.
That's the purpose of giving characters backstory. You're meant to weave them into the narrative. Otherwise, it's just fluff.
Is there a term for that?
It's just called connecting plot threads. It makes the conclusion a lot more satisfying. Without a strong foundation, everything just falls apart.
Yeah. I agree. There's probably some parallels here to Cyberpunk 2077. I haven't played through Cyberpunk 2077 yet myself, but I'd be curious, when did Cyberpunk release? I wonder if this is one that's like inspired by it or something. Because Komorebi came out... Oh, yeah, no, definitely. 2023 is when Komorebi came out, so well after Cyberpunk. Well after Cyberpunk.
And calling them threads is a metaphor, right?
Kinda. You want all your threads to be as strong as possible. We all know what happens when you tug on a loose one.
Everything falls apart, like the narrative of this game.
Everything
It's
falls
okay
apart.
so far. It's okay so far.
It's pretty cool when you think about it, right? Isaac is part of a rebellion, just like the characters in our campaign were.
Ah, okay, sounds... Yeah, that makes sense. Or inspired by Shadowrun. I'm not sure what, like, the original Cyberpunk world was. Because, like, if you compare in terms of, like, themes and set dressing and stuff, like, you could make a comparison that Cyberpunk world building and things, there's a lot of similarities between those stories, games, etc. In the same way that if you look at something like Lovecraftian, there's a lot of elements that are always similar between games, plots, narratives, movies that are set in Lovecraftian worlds. There's a lot of crossover in terms of what sets in Cyberpunk worlds. A lot of themes and things that they keep the same between them because of how it works. But I'd be curious, I don't know what the first instance of a cyberpunk story would be. Be curious to know how far back that goes. Yeah, Blade Runner inspired a lot of stuff, but I don't know if Blade Runner was the first instance of it. I think it's probably the first that gained a lot of popularity and became like a pop culture thing, but don't know if it was the first. Surely there would have been some novels or something prior to that. I don't know. I'd be curious if anyone wants to have a quick look in the background.
And because we've got his back, we're members too.
That we
Us?
are.
Agents of Cypher?
Yep. Unwittingly.
Yeah, for longer than we thought.
Sorry for not telling you sooner.
We're agents of Cypher by association, not by action, because we have done nothing.
You say we're agents of Cypher, but I'm gonna say we're unwilling accomplices.
Blade Runner came out in 1968. Okay, so yeah, it might actually have been one of the first instances of creating that kind of world. Yeah, and I agree with Taylor here. We are unwilling accomplices. We had no choice in this.
That makes it sound so boring. We can help Isaac change the world here.
How?
And if we fail?
We've come too far to fail. If we were gonna lose, it would have been ages ago.
Probably as soon as he applied Chiron's identity to that phone.
Yeah, that was the riskiest part.
You mean whatever you're planning at their HQ isn't risky?
Oh, it definitely is. Just not as much as you'd think. It's been smooth sailing so far, and I aim to keep it that way.
If you say so.
If you're starting to doubt things, just look at the town square.
Where the people died.
What about it?
Complete unity.
Because people died.
City folk have started feeding and hanging out with the Zeros. Both sides are now part of the protest.
Which is a win. People will come together over tragedy.
And what is Argus doing about it? Nothing. Everyone was worried about stepping in and getting in trouble, but it's not happening. So it's just inspiring more people to help. Our entire journey so far has been filled with worry. Sure, but it was always worry about what could happen. It's never been based on what has happened, and each day that passes, more stuff keeps happening. Our concerns have been put to rest almost every single day. So it's time to start basing our thoughts on reality. We can't let them use fear of the unknown against us. Remember, that's always been their most valuable weapon.
I would also argue that just control has been one of their most valuable weapons as well.
You have a point.
Wow, what a speech. Maybe we should have made you the monarch.
Not so much a big event on the town square, Spider. Just referencing the fact that on New Year's Day, technically, because it was after midnight, they had the first deaths in the town square as a result of the ongoing protest and hunger strike. That was the big event that's kind of motivated people to actually start helping the Zeros.
Oh, I definitely rock that crowd.
We all smile as our time with the campaign comes to an end. But with it came striking similarities to our current situation. Similarities that fill me with resolve rather than fear. I remember thinking up some similarities when we first started, but back then, so much was uncertain. It's impressive how far we've come in such a short time. Isaac telling us about his link to Cypher seemed to unite us even more. I've got to say, being an agent of Cypher sounds pretty awesome. We're going to witness the end of Argus's monopoly and the aftermath. If Cypher is like the rebellion, then they'd rise up after all this ends. If only Dante knew how much irony was behind this statement. Isaac should be the monarch? Well, he technically was. He's running Cypher, much like how I ran the rebellion and the monarchy. And just like me, he was uniquely qualified to take on the task. What do you mean, just like you? What unique qualifications do you have? His entire life has led up to this Sunday. Thankfully, there's no one I'd trust more than him. Especially when it came to bringing us a better future. Alright, Rebels and Revels storyline complete. Oh my goodness. We're on to the last memory fragment for this section. Let's do it.
Experience pivotal fragment. Possibilities.
Does this one have the possibility of being entertaining? Because that'd be great. Sorry, I'm being so mean to the game today. I'm still enjoying it. It's nice. It's banter. It's only like a solid 5 or 6 out of 10 though. Learning to take your own advice is the greatest strength of all. True, sometimes it's very easy to give advice and not actually listen to it yourself. Okay. We all sit back in the hotel room trying to relax. This might be the last time we get to do this. It's the real calm before the storm. Thankfully, we've made it this far without any hiccups. And tomorrow, everything would come to an end. Hopefully in our favor, but at this point I have no idea. I can rest easy, however, knowing that all my friends have opened up. What they've opened up, I shall not say. To anyone viewing my memories, I have no doubt, you know we're good people. I can't even say we're good people caught up in a bad situation. I've truly come to believe that we're doing the right thing. We may not destroy Argus, but they need a reality check. They shouldn't have as tight of a grip on the world as they do. It's immoral. Cypher can rise up and be the first threat to the monopoly of Argus. I look forward to a world full of progress and innovation. Sure beats what we have. But for now, I take a large swig of soda, enjoying the company of my friends. Friends. That's right. But now we're also agents of Cypher, however unwittingly.
This is gonna suck.
It's gonna be cool, actually. I'll finally get to show you the full extent of my skills.
Boys, phrasing.
Putting Chiron in the system wasn't the full extent of your skills?
Not even close.
Now I'm scared.
Don't worry, Dante. You're on my good side. Let's just make sure it stays that way.
Yeah, in before Isaac ends up becoming just as bad as Argus Corporation, overbearing and controlling in his own way, and then we have to have a second rebellion to put him down.
Are you gonna tell us what the plan is yet?
I can't. Sorry. I have to wait until the time is right. A lot of this is on a need-to-know basis.
Such a cliche line.
I know. I've always wanted to say it. Must have sounded so cool.
Afraid not, mate.
Sure, let's go with cool.
I was gonna go with a different word starting with C. It sounded cringe. Taylor looks worried. I can tell that the fear must be getting to him.
So, what do we do in the meantime?
Nope, not going there.
Well, tomorrow is gonna change everything. It's the last time we might get to do this.
Still not going there. You'll make it very difficult for me not to go there because you're just really setting it up.
What do you mean by this?
Oh my god.
We won't really know until tomorrow. It was kind of an abstract statement.
I see.
He just means the status quo is gonna change.
Okay, that's what we're calling it.
Hopefully for the better.
Of course. I have this down to a science. So how about we celebrate instead of worrying?
Yes. One last celebration before everything goes wrong.
Sure, makes sense to me. We want to look back on this as a happy time.
Speaking of looking back,
Oh, you talked to Delta 2?
I guess I wasn't the only one.
We talked about what exactly?
the past.
Oh, well, in that case, me too.
It's always important to look back before looking forward. Reminiscing is always important in the face of change.
That's my question, Tony. What has this gang of revolutionaries done to combat Argus? So far, the only one who's actually done anything to combat Argus has been Isaac. He has been able to basically bypass some of the security features that Argus has because he has insider knowledge, and he has been able to get basically zeros into the system. That is basically it.
Yeah, the past is always set in stone. It's comfortable and familiar.
No one else has done anything to contribute because they don't know anything about tech.
You know what they say, right? The safety of the past is the greatest treasure that we can never possess.
Safety of the past is the greatest treasure that we can never possess. Interesting.
I guess Argus is aiming to change that.
Just another way to keep us in line. Super cheap booze and a glorified dream machine.
Which is what we're using to view these memories at the moment. What did they call it? No, it's gone. Something about reminiscing or... No, that wasn't it. I'm sure that they might mention it.
We're gonna put a dent in that plan, though. Without their monopoly, their control will be limited.
I guess. But we'll always need the system. competition only introduces lesser evils.
Why do you need the system, though?
At least there'd be options. Argus can't keep things like this forever, right? If they have sole ownership, then they have sole control.
I guess so. I mean, we might be able to take that control away from them, but at the end of the day, Komorebi trumps everything.
But it doesn't, because you've proven that you can change your fate and your future. Komorebi shows what might happen, not what will happen.
We'll never be able to compete with a force like that. Especially when we don't even understand it.
So unless you're retconning your own story, you got some explaining to do.
Do you think we ever will?
Doubtful. Especially when it's easier to just
Nostalgia
run and hide.
technology, that's
This
what it was.
nostalgia technology is basically admitting defeat.
But at the end of the day, it's still a new technology. That's kind of exciting, with how stagnant things have been.
Right. We've all become creatures of routine. I remember Isaac saying as much back when I first arrived.
But stagnancy goes hand in hand with control. Can't wait to see what happens when we open the floodgates.
Embracing my metaphor, huh? Nice.
Isaac nods and smirks.
A race with one person is pretty boring, right? They have no reason to push themselves forward.
Not true. Plenty of people do that all the time. It's because they're able to be competitive with themselves. They have standards, goals, aspirations. People do that all the time.
Throw a few more people into the mix, things go haywire. If Cypher wins, then a lot more people will enter the fray.
That I can't argue with. That is true.
As for what they'll create, I see unlimited potential. Who knows? Maybe we'll even find a way to stop Komorebi.
You really think so?
I mean, I think anything is possible. But if Komorebi benefits Argus, of course they'd want to keep it around. We won't really know what's possible until more people get a say.
When you put it like that, I'm kind of excited.
How do you stop visions of the future, though? Aren't you stuck with them, even if you defy them?
I think that's true. They don't know what causes Komorebi yet. They've just adapted society around them. I remember talking about that on the way to the nightclub. If you defied your vision, you'd still experience it all the time. In my mind, that changed the very nature of visions to begin with. What if they aren't visions of the future?
I'd have to ask you to elaborate.
Well, it's only the future from your perspective.
Who else's perspective is there?
Argus's perspective, absolutely. Hey, Simon Senpai, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by. You're going to be in for a wild time because this is part 6 of a visual novel stream, so there's going to be a lot of plot happening here. So I've been saying to everyone, because this is part 6, and if you're just joining in now, you're welcome to stay in. You can kind of pick up the sense of what's going on while you're here. You can ask some questions in the chat about what's happening. I'll happily answer them. But this is also a game that's not for everyone. So you're also welcome to step away and wait for a more interesting game to appear. And Gray, hi, welcome. Just dropping in for a second. You're on your club trip at the moment. What kind of club are you in, Gray? Very curious. Yeah, I love what Spider's saying as well. Came at the perfect time. Something interesting might happen in 10 minutes. We're basically in like the penultimate section of the story, so some interesting stuff might actually be happening soon. Okay, yeah, visions from your future self.
Okay, now you're losing me.
To your future self, it'd be a vision of the past. Yeah, okay, I'm with you. You only call it the future because of the side you're on right now.
I guess that makes sense. But what does it change?
You plan to defy your visions and stay friends, right?
Ideally, yeah.
Then it won't always be a vision of the future. Eventually, it'll become a vision of an alternate past. Yep.
Does that really change anything, though?
Salad Bucket, hey, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate your support. Hopefully we'll see you either next week or the week after when we're doing something that's not a visual novel, but I appreciate you stopping by. Does that really change anything, though?
Yeah, it does.
It absolutely
How
does.
so?
Right now, we're trapped on one side of our visions, the side where we see it as our future and nothing else. But Delta is right. When I live past the point in my vision, it'll just be an echo. Some weird memory of a past that never was. And for some reason, I think that's comforting. I feel a bit more free when I think about it that way.
I guess that's the power of perspective. Alternate lives is a pretty common theory, too.
It's amazing how much that like society has adjusted around this phenomenon that they have no explanation for and they've just accepted as part of their world.
Okay, so they're just visions then. Doesn't change how intrusive they are. I hate mine, no matter when it comes from.
At least it might not come true. It's better to stay a vision than become reality.
I guess.
Okay, this is starting to make my head hurt. But if it means I might not be on a colony in the future, then I'll take it. Any bit of hope is better than what I have right now.
What if we want our vision to come true, though?
I guess that's when this turns into a double-edged sword. Your comfort can just be someone else's worry.
Where does the alternate past come from then? It feels way too real to just be a possibility.
Yeah, I agree, Spider. Delta finally said something interesting. But it kind of makes sense. We're the only character that doesn't have Komorebi, so we were always going to be the one that was positioned to be able to provide some insight into it. That's the question that the end of this conversation lingers on. Future or past, the visions had to come from somewhere. Another reality, another timeline, who knows? That's an interesting thing to think about, though. If Komorebi was the echo of another life, also that's the first time I've seen Komorebi not in yellow, does that mean this was my first? I had no echo to witness, after all. Could this life just become the Komorebi of another me, and there's the Komorebi in yellow? Maybe another version of me was witnessing this moment right now, in a hotel room with friends, about to infiltrate Argus HQ and oppose them. If that was the vision I had as a kid, I'd probably do anything to oppose it. After all, I would see no merit in going against the powers that basically govern our world. So, in this exact moment, I finally feel happy and content with my lack of vision. I truly live my life for me, not to avoid anything and not to pursue it either. Because if I had a vision, I might not even be here right now. But after everything I've experienced, I know one thing. This is where I was meant to be. And I got here with the ability to call all of my choices my own. I didn't follow a vision, no invisible hand guided me down this path, and hopefully, one day, this kind of life would be the norm. Right, okay, we have gone through all the pivotal fragments. Okay, I think what we're gonna do, just because I'm mindful of time today, let's do the one for Dante, because that was the person that we wanted to romance. I'm assuming we've got one to do there. And then we might actually call the stream there so that we can wrap everything up neatly in one session. Because I think last time, going through like the end of sequence part did take like a solid hour and a half, and that's going to push me over time, which will be a bit tight. So let's see, do we have one to do for Dante?
Experience. Heart-to-heart fragment.
Alright, let's
Dante
jump in for
4.
this. Little bit of the actual gay furry part of the visual novel. Right? What do we got? We're going on a date? We're going to get it on in the hotel room with everyone else around? It looks like it was time for me to chat with Dante. Out of all the others, he was probably the closest to Isaac. Because of that, current events were probably hitting him the hardest. But with a strong bond comes trust. Against better judgment, it seems like he'd do anything for Isaac. Even follow him into the heart of Argus HQ in the name of a better future.
What a great con, huh?
You seem absolutely thrilled with it, mate. Yeah, the sarcasm in his voice is immense.
I wish we could be out there helping the Zeros, but I guess we're doing it in our own way.
Yeah, by hanging out in a hotel room and playing a D&D campaign. Totally agree with you.
It's the waiting that kills me, though. There's so many people just standing around. At least the Zeros are being fed.
Not by
Too
you.
little, too late.
There's no denying it. What happened was truly awful. There was no reason for those Zeros to die. Not a single one. I could see the guilt on the faces of people helping out in the town square. If only I stepped in sooner, is probably what they're thinking. If I help now, I'll feel less guilty about it, is the aura I feel in the air. It's almost like they care more about their conscience than those lives. But at the end of the day, help is still help, right? Does it even matter what's going on in their heads? Or am I just projecting what I feel onto the unsuspecting masses?
Better late than never, others would say. At least now there will only be 2 casualties.
So far. Too many, if you ask me.
How do you feel about all this, Delta? I can tell it's affecting you more than you let on.
Alright, we got a couple of choices. I trust Isaac. I know our role is greater than just feeding the zeros. Or, it was, but I feel calm now that you're by my side. Or, I'm terrified, but my only choice is to follow Isaac. Nope, this is just the life I was hoping for after moving. Well, lastly, Argus needs to fall. My resolve trumps anything I feel. In this, because we are going down the flirty, datey route, I think we've got to do number 2. We kind of just have to here. Because I'm just curious to see how well this game handles the romance and dating side of things. Yeah. It was, but I feel calm now that you're by my side.
Wow, really? Good to know I have that effect. Personally, I won't be able to relax until Sunday is over. But with everything going on, I hope you don't blame me. In this situation, I don't think anything could calm me down.
You sure about that? You want to put that to the test? You could try using a bit of denial like everybody else.
Nah, I feel like facing my feelings head on. Or at the very least, letting them out in my writing. Speaking of the writing, by the way, it's going well. I lost a bit of time, but I think everything will be good. After this blows over, I'll be full of inspiration. Especially with how weird things have been lately. I mean, that whole being watched from the future thing? Ugh.
So would this conversation have been different if I did this before that final discussion that we had? I don't know. He knows?
You gotta admit, it's pretty outlandish. But so is the idea of Komorebi, and here we are.
He shrugs.
Time is just a bunch of nonsense anyway, isn't it?
It is.
The only
It's
thing that
timey-wimey
matters
stuff.
is the moment. At the end of the day, that's all we can really call our own. At least in theory.
He scoffs.
Other people being able to see my memories. You gotta be kidding me. That's so embarrassing. After Sunday, I might never do anything again. Just sit at home and avoid creating any regrets.
Yeah, I think that's what Argus is aiming for.
Full social control, huh?
Absolutely. If you know that your memories and every single action is basically being recorded and could be reviewed, that will absolutely change the way that you interact with the world.
I never figured they'd end up being that evil, but I saw those bodies. I saw their true nature. Also, I might as well get this out of the way. Sorry, Delta, but I don't believe you.
Don't believe me? For what? Oh, I kind of figured I could convince all my friends. Leave it to Dante to be the odd one out.
I don't think we're being watched right now.
Hello. I'm watching you.
But at the same time, they did announce this technology, so maybe I'll meet you halfway at the more believable part.
Yeah, and what is this more believable part?
That one day we'll be able to revisit these memories. Remember what Taylor said way back when we were pre-gaming?
Here's the thing though, if we have the ability to revisit our own memories, the next step's pretty obvious. Have someone else visit our own memories.
Create some memories that we can revisit whenever we want. I don't know about you, but that's been my motto lately.
Kind of an ironic thing for Taylor to say given the circumstances.
I'd especially like to revisit my life before
Taylor?
the midnight deaths. You know, the good old days.
That's what we're calling it now, the midnight deaths. Gray, no worries. Appreciate you stopping by. Hope everything goes well for the rest of your day. Enjoy some time with your club.
As worried as I was, at least nothing bad happened to me.
Yet.
So that's kind of the logic I'm using right now. You're worrying for nothing. Seems to be a pretty comforting thought. Gotta give you and Isaac some credit, though. You have some pretty active imaginations.
At least someone does, so we can do something.
Coming from a writer, that's a compliment, by the way. I mean, sending memories to the future for subterfuge? Engaging in the highest possible levels of corporate espionage?
That sounds way more interesting than what we're actually doing. You're describing the game I wish I was playing.
You're giving me a bunch of ideas for my next book. But I think that's all it is. A bunch of fiction spawned from fear. Or maybe not fear, maybe resolve is the right word. You want to give our mission on Sunday more importance. A greater cause is always easier to commit to, after all. First it was the agent, now it's this.
I did see an agent, Dante.
But the footage said otherwise.
I saw them at the party, too.
Now that's impossible. Isaac was pretty vigilant.
Unfortunately, this is an instance of it all being in our head. Quite literally. I think they're stuck in the back door after Isaac silenced it.
Maybe we should just focus on the stuff we can confirm. And yes, this is me totally projecting my fright.
Yeah, I agree, Simon. This may turn into some Lahoni stuff, but I mean, that's why we're having a look at it. We want to see how this game handles that to really be able to judge it. It's not an erotic one, like there's nothing R18 plus. It is totally fine. It's just a little bit of dating that's going to be in it. There's nothing explicit that's going to appear. But yeah, the artwork's really good. The sound design's pretty good. The voice acting is great for the most part. So there's a lot of stuff that the game does solidly, and it seems to be, unfortunately, its biggest weakness is its writing. It's its own worst enemy.
I don't know how I'd handle all the extra stress you seem to be embracing, but I'm sure everything will be fine after all of this blows over. So, let's figure it out then, right?
Yeah, there has been a kiss in like the previous episode that we did, but that's all there's been. If it goes further than that, I will be very surprised and probably end the stream very early.
We can talk about it on our date, actually. I imagine that's gonna have to wait until after Sunday.
Probably, mate.
I'd suggest that we go to dinner now, but if our friends tag along out of necessity, it's not really a date.
I nod. That seems fair to me. Part of me's a little upset, but I can't exactly blame Dante. I guess I just got lucky with convincing my other friends. Or maybe it had to do with the lives they lived. An idol, a streamer, a master of tech. They all fueled their belief through experiences they've had. I didn't ask them to believe me, though. They almost convinced themselves. I'm tempted to try and convince him, but I decided to drop it for now. As long as we have him by our side on Sunday, that's all that really matters. I wonder if he'd change his mind if he knew that Isaac was Hermes.
By the way, speaking of extra stress, I kinda have a plan. When we're in Argus HQ, I might sneak off on my own.
Why? What are you gonna do? Wait, what?
Hopefully not too far, or ideally not at all. But if I can find a computer with
His
high-level
family.
access there, I need to look up my family. Right now, I have no clue where to start. They don't live in my childhood home anymore. I looked into it, and the people who live there now won't respond to my emails. At an Argus computer, though, I can literally just search their names.
They really do have everything, don't they?
Then, after everything is over, I can reconnect with my family. If everyone else gets a new start, I think I want one too. So just be prepared, okay? I've already run it by Isaac.
Yeah, and he's okay with it?
Yeah, of course. But it's our secret for now, okay? We're the only people that know.
He nudges me on the shoulder playfully.
Kind of like this little future observation thing, huh? If it turns out to be true, I'll make sure to eat my words. And I'll let you watch so you can relive it over and over.
By eat your words, I'm visualizing him just tearing pages out of his own book and eating them. That's a very strange experience. We both laugh, embracing the absurdity of what he's saying. Perhaps belief wasn't as important as the willingness to follow. The same could be said about the city folk in the town square too. They were helping. It was the action that mattered, not the reason. Whether to clear a guilty conscience or any number of things in between. We all wanted the same thing, to show Argus that their reign was over. Whatever came next, it was in the hands of the people. Pushing any thoughts aside, that was more than enough to unite us all. There was nothing even remotely spicy in that. I'm disappointed. Disappointed! Alright, we are going to save there. And I hate to call it, but that is going to be all for this stream. Apologies for cutting it a little bit short, but real life calls, unfortunately. That is the nature of things. Looks like we are going to have one more stream for Komorebi before we get to the end of all this, but you know what? I think it'll be nice to be able to wrap everything up in a single stream. I was concerned that we'd get, most of the way through things here and be like, oh, run out of time, have to pause, and then we have like a weird half-hour stream to wrap this game up later, so it's probably better this way at the end of the day. That does set us up really nicely for next time, though, so we should better everything up. So just a reminder, so next week's stream, we're going to be going back to Ebenezer and the Invisible City, so if you're wanting to see something a little bit different, we'll have a little bit of variety in the mix, and then it'll be the week after that we come back and should be able to wrap up everything for Komorebi, which should be good fun. I am looking forward to seeing how this actually comes to a conclusion, because it's either going to be great in the way it brings all these different like plot threads together and the message that it tries to convey, or it's going to be incredibly disappointing and we get to focus and talk about that too and go, wow, look at how badly they've missed this opportunity, right? Either way, it's going to be interesting for us to be able to look at and talk about. So thank you very much everyone for being here. Appreciate you stopping by to hang out. Hope you enjoyed tomorrow's review video, which is going to be a little different and I think should be a good bit of fun. And then I will see you next week for the next live stream. Until then, have a wonderful rest of the day and a wonderful rest of the week, and I'll see you then. Take care, everyone. Bye.